Welcome to the Neighborhood Connect podcast. I am Paul Young, Director of Housing and Community Development, and with me I have my illustrious co-host.
My name is Joyce Cox, and I am the manager of the Office of Communications and Civic Engagement for Housing and Community Development.
All right.
All right, Paul.
Yeah, good to be here today. We got a great, exciting show. I'm excited to talk about some of the great things transpiring around mobility and transportation in this community. We got some great guests with us, so I think we should just dive right on in. I want to get some introductions. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves so that the listeners know who you are, and I'm going to start right here with Miss Denise from Explore Bike Share.
Hello, I'm Denise Parnell. I'm the Community Engagement Manager for Explore Bike Share.
All right.
Yeah, hi, I'm Nick Oyler. I am the Bikeway and Pedestrian Program Manager for the City of Memphis. So basically my job is to make Memphis a more walkable and bikeable city. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
And I am Roshun Austin, Executive Director of the Works Incorporated, a community development corporation in South Memphis, and also a board member of Explore Bike Share.
All right. Well, it's exciting to have you guys here today. We've all seen a lot of great stuff happening around the city. It seems like this is like a transportation revolution in the city right now with some of the things that we've seen. Bird scooters flying around all of downtown.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of people using Explore Bike Share. MATA seems to be working on some innovative plans to get things rolling. So I'm excited to have this discussion today and hear about how some of these things transpired. So I think we might want to start with you, Denise, since Explore Bike Share is hot off the presses and the bikes seem to be flying off the racks everywhere. So how's the program going?
The program is going very well. We're extremely excited. We've had over 1,200 rides just within our first 2 months. So we are on track to actually crush our 6-month goals, which we are very excited about because you just never know when you're launching a new program and not so much creating a culture, but extending the bike culture here in Memphis and getting everybody excited about this new form of bike sharing that we have in the city and just educating people about how to use it, why it's a great thing for them to try out, and getting them excited to keep it here and keep expanding.
Well, Denise, I am a little over 21, just a tad bit. And tell me, okay, let me be honest. Okay, I see people riding their bikes. Okay, for a lady like myself who potentially hadn't ridden a bike in a lot of years, what would you advise me to do?
Well, I would definitely advise you to not be intimidated by the process.
I'm scared, girl. I'm scared.
Don't be afraid. We have a community partnership with Revolutions Co-op, and they do provide a lot of our bike education classes, including bike riding, learning how to ride a bike, learning how to commute, road safety, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You can also do some one-on-one bike riding lessons. So
that's right.
Look out for that.
So I like to jump in, Roshun. Revolutions, Sylvia Crum, their director, taught me how to ride a bike for the first time when I was 44 years old.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
So there are not a lot of excuses because I didn't learn as a kid. I learned as a 44-year-old.
Testament.
Yes.
So where did this idea come from? Who originated this? How did this happen in Memphis?
Well, I would actually let Roshun start speaking on that because she's been around since the beginning.
Yeah, so it's been a few years now, I guess 4 years. It just flew by. And so Doug Carpenter, a local firm, and his associates started talking about bike sharing systems across the U.S. And so it was just a conversation. And Doug, being the type of professional that he is, wanted to explore what this system looked like in Memphis, and thus our name eventually it stuck, the Explore Bike Share piece. And so he started talking to philanthropists, the foundations locally, and individual donors. But one thing we wanted to do in Memphis was talk to the community. Mm-hmm. And so he had his staff set up at our farmers market, for instance, to ask the community, are you interested in this? Now, they had to bring something so people understood what a bike sharing system was. So they got with B-Cycle and they brought out a station, they brought out a bike. And so 4 years ago, you would have seen people at our farmers market or other community meetings, other community events on a bike, testing it out, saying, oh yeah, we like this, because we didn't want to do something that the community didn't want or they weren't ready for. So it really was decided by the members of the community of Memphis that we wanted to truly explore bike share, which led us to start doing fundraising. We were not a formal organization originally. We did incorporate and form as a nonprofit and establish a board.
Yeah, that's great. So, is it affordable? I mean, who uses it? How much does it cost?
So we actually, as Roshun said, we talked through with a lot of the folks across the city to see what was considered affordable. We also compared our prices with other mid-sized cities to see what we could do as far as making sure that folks could afford to use our program, but also that it wasn't something that, was intimidating in price or that people thought, I'm not really sure about trying this out. So a single ride is $5. And we like to think, and not even just thinking, but besides walking, it's one of the most affordable ways you can commute. A monthly membership will run you about $15. We do also have partnerships with multiple community partners where you can get a discount if $15 is too much for you. And we also encourage people to try out their first ride for free. And anyone listening, you can use the code FREE60. That's all lowercase, FREE 60 to do your first ride for free.
And I always like to throw in around our costs for bike share. We did something special because we, from the beginning, talked about equity with bike share, and I always, as a board member, that's very important to me because we have a high poverty city and we have people that are left out of a lot of systems and they don't have access. And so, as a member, I could pay it forward. So, as an annual member, which is Denise did mention, is $120 a year, I can pay it forward by paying a little more because I can afford to pay for my neighbor. And so we offer that as an option. And then there, like she said, there are a lot of community partnerships. We give away. We have some promotional memberships that we give away. I gave away memberships to my employees. So employers can give away memberships or incent their employees for cycling to work, or if you just want to do it for fun. The most expensive way is the one time.
And if I can just real quick throw in there that equity component that Explore Bike Share is doing is really setting the model for the country in terms of how you incorporate equity into bike share. 2 months old, and already yesterday Forbes magazine came out with an article highlighting Memphis as the standard to follow for equity in bike share.
Wow. That's right. And we've been invited to national conferences pretty early on, even before our system was in place, because our conversations were around equity. So I sat on a panel at a bike conference in Philadelphia. In Madison, we were talking about equity. And so Memphis was standing out because we were interested in getting all of our citizens access from the start.
So, I know it's downtown. I've seen the bikes downtown. So what are some of the other neighborhoods? I have a nephew that goes to Christian Brothers High School over here, and I saw the bikes, and I was like, because he called me, I need a ride. I said, get one of the bikes.
Well, we are currently downtown, Midtown, South Memphis, and Orange Mound. And we
South
are
Memphis.
working on expanding out to, I think our next areas will be Binghamton, and then also expanding out some more stations in South Memphis.
Oh, okay. What about North Memphis?
We're working on it. We're working on it.
Come on in.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
You're listening to Neighborhood Connect, and we'll be right back.
Best in Blue.
We go into the schools and we educate the kids on the different things that the police department can do. Those 10 officers have about 5 to 10 schools each. Make sure that the students have everything they need.
On the KUDZUKIAN Network.
No, and I'm not alluding to the president being a nut. I really am not.
No, you're not alluding to it. You're saying it, basically.
Well, and I'm not comparing him to Hitler or Mussolini, but you had these people who were homegrown.
So why'd you even bring him up?
Okay, I'm going to let that go. Go ahead, Cornell.
This
is really getting fucking. I don't want to call the president a nut.
No, that's why.
And our personal friends.
You don't want to.
I've been to the Trump Tower and I've had my golden shower.
Oh wow!
Go ahead.
Wow. Funking up your airwaves and jamming the good information in your ear. Once again, it's Funky Politics.
On the KUDZUKIAN Network.
KUDZUKIAN Neighborhood Connect.
We're back here on Neighborhood Connect, and with us we have Roshun Austin from The Works, Nick Oyler from the City of Memphis, our Bike Ped Program Manager, as well as Denise Parnell from Explore Bike Share, the Community Engagement Coordinator. So we're having a great discussion about mobility here in the City of Memphis. And Nick, I wanted to just ask you, what role does the City of Memphis play in all of these projects? We've heard a lot about Explore Bike Share, but I know that there's a lot of work that's happening with road diets and greenways and trails and things of that nature. What role are we playing in this space?
Yeah, so I would say the City of Memphis plays a pretty integral role in all of it. City engineering, we're responsible for our streets, designing our streets, and making sure that they're safe for everyone. Like most American cities, for several decades, towards the end of the 20th century, we designed our streets to function really well for cars, to move cars at fast speeds and high volumes, and kind of forgot that not everyone drives a car. Right. Not everyone owns a car or can own a car. So as a result, our streets got more dangerous for walking, for riding bikes, harder to access transit. So what the city is doing now is trying to correct some of what we did over the last several decades, and again make our streets safe for everyone who uses them, whether they're on foot, on a bike, using transit, or driving in a car.
Good. That's great. So I can recall, and bear with me on this, I used to serve as the administrator for the Office of Sustainability, and we coordinate a project called the Green Print, which many of you are familiar with. And as a part of that process, we held a series of public meetings all across the county, actually all across the region. And I was at one meeting, and I was at the community center in Riverview, Kansas neighborhood, and it was election day, and it was like 2014 maybe. It was election day, and there was a ton of people that came in the room. We had just posted up in the room, had boards around, and at one point there was about 30 people in the room, and so I started giving a presentation. And about 2 minutes into my spiel, a lady stood up in the back, and she was like, "Boy, you know we don't care about this stuff over here. This stuff don't do anything for us. This is just going to help white people come take over our neighborhood." Now, I give that story because I want to hear you guys' response to that. It was really an eye-opening conversation to me, because when I started explaining the other assets, the facets of the Green Print, like connections from jobs to home and things of that nature, then the person said, "Well, you should have started off talking about that and not these greenways and bike trails, because we don't care about that."
Sure.
So I know that you guys have heard something similar, so I want to hear how you guys respond to those comments. What does this mean for our people in our neighborhoods that may not necessarily see the connection?
Yeah. I think South Memphis is a great example to kind of start with. We know in South Memphis that a third of all households don't have access to a car. So these are individuals who are already relying on walking, biking, transit to go about their daily lives. So when I talk about bike lanes, sidewalk improvements, trails, sure, there's a recreational component, but that's kind of latter in my mindset. The focus really is on transportation, mobility, anything that we can do as city government to make it easier for people to access jobs, to access education, improves their quality of life, and strengthens our neighborhoods.
And then it's a perfect way for a community to partner with government. So sometimes the neighborhood residents don't understand it coming directly from the Division of Engineering, but a community development corporation that does a lot of work around community engagement, we act as translators often. So what does the neighborhood say they want? What does the city want to help us with? Right. And how do we translate so that we're connecting what the division wants or wants us to have or feel like we need, and what the neighborhood wants in terms of its priorities. And so sometimes it just takes translation. Like she said, you should have started with the other stuff first.
She taught me a lesson.
Yeah.
Right,
and so
right.
we start with the other stuff first.
So have you seen any, our job is more like people. We want to know how the people connecting, and is this a buzz for them? Are they excited about it now? Has anybody seen any of that?
I think Nick and I have seen a lot of that. We get a parade every time we go riding through South Memphis. They just need confetti. We don't want them to litter. But we get people coming out on their porches, kids running in the street. We feel very special when we ride through South Memphis and our community rides, and we have more and more people joining those rides when we were providing them access to bicycles.
And bikes just seem to light people up. Even the most apprehensive person, once you get them on the bike and they feel comfortable, they get so excited. And it's nice to do the community rides, because if you hadn't ridden for a while or you just learned how to ride, you have that comfort and safety of having a group with you and having a leader and having a caboose. So it's really exciting to see people connecting.
It's always a joy when you get somebody on a bike who hasn't ridden in 20 years, 30 years, and to see that smile on their face.
You're listening to Neighborhood Connect, and we're having an exciting conversation today.
Yeah.
So one other question I had for you guys, in terms of what's coming. I know that there's a lot of stuff that's underway, a lot of projects that are happening. What are things that are in the pipeline that people can get excited about?
Yeah, well, Roshun and I were talking so much about South Memphis, well, for many reasons, but one of the big ones is a project called The Big Jump, which is a 3-year national initiative. Memphis applied to be a part of this. Around 100 cities applied for it. Only 10 got it. So we're in company with New York City, LA, Portland, Austin. And the whole point of this 3-year project is to implement community development through investment in our streets. So by making our streets safer for walking and biking, we can invest in our communities. So South Memphis is the focus neighborhood for this project. So I've been working a lot with Roshun and the Works and Explore Bike Share. And we've been taking on different projects, like starting these community social rides, the glide rides, we call them, coming up for the fall season pretty soon.
That's right. We're engaging the youth, and so our first series were the teen ambassadors, and so youth were trained to lead our rides.
So the glide ride, where does that name come from?
The kids.
That's right, the kids.
So
it's like the glow up.
It's the South Memphis Glide Ride. They came up with the name and the logo. It's a nice logo. We have T-shirts, and the kids have bicycles. And this year we're going to partner with Explore Bike Share and get people memberships. Nick and I partnered along with Revolutions and Greenleaf Learning Farm Knowledge Quest. We have a State of Tennessee Access to Health grant, and so the Big Jump is leading to other opportunities and other funding.
Okay, so that may be the one I attend.
And anybody can join you on the glide ride?
That's right.
That's right. Yep.
Yes, Deputy Administrator comes every time. Mari is coming. And people from engineering, people from other neighborhoods. We have a man from Mississippi who joins us.
Oh.
Man from Fraser rides down every time.
Yeah.
Rides back home afterwards.
So we have people all walks of life.
You're listening to Neighborhood Connect, and we will be right back.
R&R on sports, artivism, best in blue, funky politics, blues in the basement, Neighborhood Connect, riffing on jazz. On the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Hey, this is your guy, DC. Funky Politics. We're back. A brand new season, brand new shows, brand new guests. We're going to do it just right. Right here on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Hey, this is Denise Parnell with Explore Bike Share, and you're listening to Neighborhood Connect, powered by KUDZUKIAN Network.
Welcome back to the Neighborhood Connect podcast show. And we have been having some interesting conversation around new and innovative ideas around mobility. It's been the bomb tickety today. And, we talked about the bike share. We've talked about some other things, but I want to hear about these little scooters that I've been seeing on the streets. I was on my way to a meeting a couple of weeks ago, Paul, and I saw this lady in heels riding a scooter. And I was like, do I want to do that? Not in heels. So anybody, just jump in and just talk about that for a few seconds.
Yeah, so Bird Scooters arrived recently in Memphis. I guess they flocked down here and set up home in Memphis. So there are around 400 scooters on the streets now. It's a private for-profit company.
Okay.
Charge $1 a ride plus 15 cents per minute thereafter. So I think they're a great mobility option if you're trying to go a couple blocks, especially in downtown, maybe in Midtown. Just another option of ways to get around Memphis that's being added.
Okay, all right.
So when we talk about mobility in the city, obviously we have to talk about MATA because that is our mass transit system. How are all of these programs, Explore Bike Share, Birds, the pedestrian walkways and things that we're implementing, how does that interact with MATA? How are they a part of this conversation?
Yeah, so what you should keep in mind is that almost every transit trip begins or ends with walking. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have safe conditions to access the bus stop, that impacts how well MATA operates.
Right.
So we need to ensure that we have safe streets to actually get to the bus stop, to walk there. And plus, in Memphis, we're seeing more and more connection between buses and bikes. Yeah. So in 2016, about 22,000 MATA customers put their bike on the front rack of the bus. Mm-hmm. 2017, that increased to 26,000. So the demand is going up so quickly that MATA is actually in the process of switching out all those bike racks with ones that can hold even more bikes to meet the demand.
Wow. So from your perspective, Roshun or Denise or any of you guys, how does this benefit community development? I mean, at the end of the day, here on Neighborhood Connect, we're all about trying to connect our neighborhoods and our residents to opportunities. And one of the questions we always hear is, how is this going to improve my community long term?
Well, certainly. I mean, when we think about, as a developer of housing and commercial buildings, we think about how do people get there, get where they need to go. And so I like the connection between bikes and the bus, for instance, the public transportation, because it takes you the last mile quicker. Yeah. And so you don't have these very long commutes, like either walking for a mile. You can get there much quicker on a bike or a scooter even, to get to the bus and drop your bike off at a bike station or park the scooter and jump on the bus. And you can avoid some of the transfers. What we found in our neighborhood, a lot of people are locked in. It takes them 2 hours to get to the grocery store. Well, because they have to transfer. And so if we take a bike and we can take that one bus to get to the grocery store, and you have the nice baskets on the bikes, and so they're pretty easy. All generations of people can ride them. Older people, the seats are wide and easy to ride. And so it's very important that people get to where they need to be, because we lack access. We talk about food deserts, but we're a desert for just about everything. We're a financial institution desert. You can just go on retail desert, for all type of retail. So a lot of people in neighborhoods can't access the places that we all need.
And even the health benefits.
That's right. That's great health benefits.
I haven't even mentioned that yet.
Yeah. And what we find in distressed neighborhoods is they have high health disparities.
Exactly.
And so all institutions, the healthcare institutions, financial institutions, should buy in to this concept, because it benefits the institution as well as the residents.
Okay, I'm almost there. You're convincing me. We're going to take lots of pictures when I get on the bike.
I want to be there.
We're going to film that.
So what's coming? How can people engage? Are there public meetings? Are there other projects they need to look forward to?
For Explore Bike Share, we are doing the expansion, as I mentioned, in South Memphis, also launching in Binghamton, and I forgot to mention Uptown. My Uptown people, don't be upset with me.
Yes.
But we are actively now soliciting community opinions and surveying for stations that we want to put out and expand. Mm-hmm. We will be starting back with our fall bike education classes, so you can learn how to ride your bike. And for folks who love those community rides, we'll be starting those back when the temperature lowers as well. And you can definitely keep up with us on social media. You can find those classes on our Facebook page. It's just Explore Bike Share on Facebook, and the same for Instagram.
Okay, so we didn't talk about the Hamp line. We didn't talk about walking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So real quick. So the Hamp line, thank you for bringing it up. It's an exciting project, 8 years in the making. Yeah. It will basically extend the Shelby Farms Green Line through Binghamton up to Broad Avenue and into Overton Park. So it's a nearly 2-mile on-street greenway, you can kind of think of it like that, that will make it safer for walking and biking through these neighborhoods.
So now we said that at some point they're all going to connect. Is that right?
That's the goal. That's the dream, right?
All right. It's the what? Green print?
Green print. I mean, that was the ultimate vision behind the green print was to connect our whole region.
Right, yeah. So now we have all these little pieces coming together.
Well.
And maybe today they don't all seem to connect, but one day they will. That's right.
And Joyce will ride from home to Arkansas.
I was going to say the VE line, when I went to Snowden Elementary, and we called it the cut. That was the easiest way to get to school.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that one, because actually city engineering, we just made some improvements along there, new pedestrian safety improvements at all the intersections. So,
and there is the Valentine Evergreen.
That's right.
Greenway.
And we're coming soon, I guess, in the next few years with the South Memphis Green Line.
That's right. South Memphis Green Line is in design now. So another project in the works in South Memphis. We have the Mississippi Boulevard resurfacing. New design based out of a pretty intense community outreach process, partnering with the works, adding some bike lanes to Mississippi Boulevard.
So when will that happen?
This fall. Construction should start this fall.
And as soon as paving is complete, the works is paying for some artistic crosswalks at Parkway in Mississippi, Macklemore in Mississippi, and Walker in Mississippi.
Oh, South Memphis is hopping over there.
It is,
I love that.
If you want to get on the ride, on August 23rd, we're having a public meeting. It's going to be the first of a series of public meetings all about the big jump in South Memphis. So August 23rd at the Advanced Memphis Warehouse. That's at 515 Suzette Street. This will be kicking off a series of public meetings about the big jump, gathering input from residents on how they want to make their streets safer. And also at this meeting, we're going to be revealing 8 exciting community projects. Brand new, never before revealed. And this is when we'll be talking about them for the first time. Everyone at this table is involved with at least one of those projects.
Wow.
Right. Well, this is very exciting. I know there's a lot more that we can cover, but I want to thank you guys for taking some time out of your busy schedule to share this with our neighborhood listeners. This is great work, and if you want more information from either of them, please check their websites.
TheWorksCDC.org,
BikePedMemphis.com,
ExploreBikeShare.com,
and MemphisHCD.org.
All right, and there you have it. So thank you for joining us for Neighborhood Connects, and we will see you next time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Riffing on Jazz.
When two friends get together to kick it
about jazz, it's called Riffing on Jazz.
Catch us riffing on jazz every week right here on your favorite broadcast or podcast platforms.
Riffing on Jazz on the KUDZUKIAN Network. KUDZUKIAN!
Best in Blue.
There's a picture that's been floating around social media, especially Facebook. That's probably got 7 or 8 little old church ladies standing on the porch, and they all got the hats on, they all carrying purses, and it says, "My first police." The only police that I've ever been afraid of was that group. That was me growing up.
Best in Blue on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
KUDZUKIAN!
All right, this is Paul Young here with Neighborhood Connect. Joyce, we've had a great conversation today.
Yes, we have.
We learned quite a bit about the things that are happening in this community. I'm excited about the momentum that we have around bike share, bike ped infrastructure, this mobility resurgence that we're seeing in this community.
They're just new and innovative ideas. And I think, they've convinced me to try to ride a bike again.
I told you I want to be there whenever you make that jump.
Yeah, we're going to. Everybody will be there and videotape it. But whatever, it's going to be the bomb diggity. This has been a great show, and I've just enjoyed the conversation and how the ideas have brought about more connectivity with our community leaders, our community residents. It's all about health. It's about just trying new ideas and just getting people out.
Yeah, you got it. So make sure you check out Neighborhood Connect on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, or YouTube, or anywhere that you get your podcasts. We want to make sure that the community gets access to these great conversations.
And don't forget, memphishcd.org. It'll be right there.
Neighborhood Connect. Executive producer Larry Robinson for KUDZUKIAN. Neighborhood Connect is hosted by Paul Young and Joyce Cox. Directed, produced, recorded, and distributed by KUDZUKIAN.